Hi Ivy, how you doing? Thanks for coming on my first episode of my podcast interviewing series. And I guess before we start putting out content as to what you do as you being a business owner, as much as you struggle with accepting that you are a business owner, I want to talk to you as a person, and I want to understand how you cope with my favorite word, stress. Okay? As a parent, as a person, as an entrepreneur, how do you cope with stress? Do you stress easy?
I absolutely stress easily.
So, okay. Okay.
Yes.
You stress easy.
There's no question about it.
Okay.
I'm a high stress person.
Yeah. Because of parenting or because you've just always been that way?
I've always been that person that stresses easily. I overreact sometimes. A lot of it stems from fear.
Wow.
I do suffer from something called perfectionism, and that's really hard because I put these expectations on myself that I want to meet, and then when I don't meet them, that's when the stress begins, and I get a lot of anxiety when it comes to starting tasks because I want to do it quote unquote perfectly. So that's where my stress stems from, is like definitely from childhood.
So you've always been, so we're opening a Pandora's box right now.
Yeah, yes you are.
I just wanted to know about stress.
Yeah.
So you being innately a high stress individual, one of my favorite words, once again, and I'm really into semantics, is a phrase at least called a high performance achiever or high performance anxiety, where like you always have to go.
Yeah.
And when you slow down, it kind of feels weird.
Yes.
So you've always been like that.
Yes.
How has that transitioned into like parenting? Are you like an anxious parent? What's your parenting type, I guess?
I have to say, before having my daughter, I wanted to nip it in the bud. I didn't want to transfer that stress to her.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be a better parent for her. So not a lot of people like to talk about this, but I am medicated. I actually have a history of chronic depression, and I have been officially diagnosed as having obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which is different from OCD, where it's obsessive compulsive thoughts. It's more personality things where things have to be done a certain way in a certain order. I'm weird about numbers as well, where I only like even numbers or multiples of 5, and so I set my volume at for my radio and TV like that. It's all mental, right? And since getting medicated and getting therapy, it's been more in check, and I made sure to do that before I even planned on having a child.
But what does that look like? Like the numbers thing, what does that look like? Just relax.
Yeah. See, I told you I'm high stress. Like even thinking about it gives me anxiety.
Can you give me an example? What does that look like from like a day-to-day perspective, like the whole numbers thing?
It used to be worse to the point where it affected my marriage. Divorce was a word that was lingering and on the tip of our tongues all the time before I was diagnosed. And had referrals from my family doctor.
So you just couldn't make sense of what you were feeling?
I couldn't make sense of it. It just made me anxious. I felt like I would hyperventilate if it wasn't that way. Down to how we loaded the dishwasher or the order in which we would clean the house. It would have to be this room first, then that one. And in my head, there was logic to all of it. Because it made sense. It was the quote unquote right way to do things. And since my referral, my diagnosis, my medication that I'm now on, it's been a lot better. I don't stress about those things anymore, and it's not top of mind for me because I used to get so upset. I would take out my feelings of anger on my husband, and that wasn't nice.
So was that like a form of like projecting your feelings?
Definitely.
So what you felt, you kind of like pushed that anxiety into somebody else.
I was generally a very irritable person to be around.
Do you sleep good?
I didn't before, but I also have pills to help me sleep now.
Sleep as well, eh?
Yeah, it affected everything. So because I didn't sleep, that definitely magnified my irritability, 100%. And then all of it. It's all a cycle, right? It's a circle. You have to fix one thing first for you to fix the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then it gets better.
Yeah.
So I'm a whole different person now.
Especially being a parent.
Yes.
Sleep is this thing that's like,
It's almost a myth.
2 days ago, I was dreaming of getting good quality sleep.
No such thing.
Your sleep right now, with the age of your child,
Yes.
is it more in control, or is that something that you still, like, sometimes people accept defeat and they
Yes.
just continue to power through life, exhausted, on the verge of burnout,
Yeah.
not feeling the best, but because life is so stressful, you see
Yeah.
everyone else in the same boat,
Yeah.
we kind of just accept that it's just the way life is.
Yeah.
What is your take on being a parent and being stressed out? Like, how do you, like, where do you even start? Do you have a self-care routine?
I wish I had a self-care routine, but for me, it's definitely all about mindset.
Okay.
Reframing things, and this comes from my days, hours, time spent in therapy.
Wow.
Because I used to be a very negative thinker. I was very pessimistic, and I was also very hypercritical of myself. So my therapist often would tell me, okay, you just said this. I want you to reframe it now. Think about it in a positive light instead of always putting yourself down. So I think, what would I want to say to my daughter and how I want her to think about herself? And then I think back to how I was parented, and a lot of it was very negative, Asian style, tiger parent,
Yeah.
like, parenting where they look for the flaws because they want to motivate you to be better.
Oh, wow.
But I don't want to do that to my daughter. I want to end that generational trauma and change the way I parent. And stress was one of the things that I felt I needed to take care of before we had children. And I want to say now that my husband and I are trying very hard to keep the stress out of her life and our lives in order to have a better, healthy, happy family.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed with anxiety, and this is not like,
Yeah.
who am I to talk about emotional health, right? Like,
Yes.
it's a deep world that I'm not saying I'm an expert,
Yeah.
but one thing I've realized is that it's hard to have a proper outlook on life when you're not feeling good.
Yes.
And when you start to unpack, like, what is feeling good in the first place? It's hard to feel good when you're not getting quality sleep. When you're not able to recover at night, you're not waking up with the same energy, you make bad decisions. And I almost feel like parenting, it almost seems like we're stuck in a hamster wheel of, like, negative emotion sometimes,
Yeah.
bad decisions, we eat like crap sometimes. But to
Yes.
break free from that, you have to start with trying to feel better,
Yes.
right? And I like to say, let's start with improving your quality of sleep.
Yeah.
So that's something that you are interested in, like, trying to address, or are you?
Absolutely. I'm unfortunately, during pregnancy, it became really bad, my lack of sleep. I already suffered from it. I want to say I'm not diagnosing myself with insomnia, but because of how much stress I had in my life, or that might have been self-caused,
Yeah.
I barely slept because my brain was always racing. It was going a million miles a minute. Every time my head hit the pillow, my eyes would be wide open because I'd be thinking of a million things.
Yeah.
So I was prescribed some medication to help me with that.
Wow.
With sleep. So I sleep better now. But again, I want to do it in a more natural way, right?
You know, in this culture,
Yeah.
what you can't use the H word. Have you ever heard of the H word?
No, what's
I'll
that?
tell it to you. I'll tell you in a second. But when you use the H word, it's looked at as like,
Is it holistic?
yeah.
Okay.
Once you start saying that you want to address your health, you're good.
Yeah.
Are you a teacher?
Yeah. You knew that.
No, I'm
didn't you?
joking.
Oh, okay.
Sarcasm. Once you use the H word, it's almost that our culture looks at what you're saying as, like, not credible.
Yeah.
But the reality is, maybe there is an option to, like, improve your quality of sleep.
Yes.
Without, no offense, the cocktail of medication.
Chemicals, right? All of it.
I mean, if it's created in a lab, there are pros to taking medication. I'm not
yeah.
knocking on it. But sometimes there is room to holistically try to address
Absolutely.
it. But the results are significantly slower.
Right.
And this is where high achievers,
Yes.
it has to happen
Quick
now.
results.
I want it tomorrow. I
Yes.
want it to happen instantly.
Yes.
We need to kind of knock ourselves backwards and kind of
Yeah.
understand the body's struggling.
Yes.
We need to support it. It's
Yes.
not going to change like that, especially when we consider we're not no spring chickens.
Nope.
We're not young anymore. You're over 30? Yeah.
Closer to 40.
It's going downhill, and it doesn't have to be that way if we can, at a fundamental level,
Yeah.
support, heal the body, and promote recovery.
Absolutely.
Okay? Another question I have for you is physical activity. Does it exist?
No.
Or does it not exist?
I'll be very truthful.
It's like a polarized, there's no like, I kind of work out. It's either I go to the gym or like I'm sedentary to the max. That's you.
Yes, I'm sedentary to the max. I used to be back in the day, and this was like over a decade ago, I'd go to the gym twice a day.
Oh, wow.
When I worked for the government in Ottawa, I went for a good half hour to 45 minutes in the morning, just like doing machines, like easy stuff, cardio.
You're a champ.
And then in the evenings when I got home from work, I would go to whatever classes at Good Life. I was a Good Life fitness member.
Oh, wow.
So I would do their like body pump. And then if I wanted, I'd do their body flow, depending on my mood or how I felt that day.
Yeah.
But I used to be good, and I would do boot camps and stuff. So I had a phase where I did the fitness thing, and then I just stopped.
Have you gotten to the point where you look for ways of incorporating your child into being physically active?
I have. I am hoping to sign her up for Little Kickers, which is like soccer.
Is that the Canadian
kids.
Tire one?
No, it's its own thing, but it has a location in Scarborough.
Oh, wow.
And they're located in schools like my elementary school actually that I work at. They have Little Kickers on Sundays, so I'd like to sign her up when she's 1.5 by the summer if I can, and then swimming lessons, that kind of stuff. I definitely want her to be well-rounded. Yeah.
I got my favorite, like the burning question I want to ask you is my favorite topic is body pain. You come to the clinic pretty regularly.
Yes,
You're
I do.
seeing Amanda.
Yep, she's amazing.
Are you dealing with any body pain that's related to parenting? And I'll give you an example. I worked with a lady yesterday.
Yeah.
She had what's called parenting thumb.
Yes.
I have never
totally.
heard. I don't even know what that is. I figured it out after, but like.
Oh yeah, it's from holding the baby so much and like supporting their weight with your thumbs, the way you lift them and the way you carry them. I was in the early days of pregnancy, up until I want to say she was 6 months, I had braces on both my wrists to the point where I couldn't even do a thumbs up. Like that's how bad it hurt. I could barely do everyday things, even holding my phone. I dropped my phone.
So the
utensils.
The thumbs took a beating.
Yes, the thumb and the wrist.
Wow.
So my wrist was very weak, but that was happening even before she was born because of pregnancy-related symptoms, and it continued after. So women can develop carpal tunnel as well during pregnancy. What happens is because you're having that baby, you're making that baby in there. You have all those like extra blood vessels pumping blood through to make sure your kid gets enough oxygen and nutrients that it can do that to you.
I feel like it can be a very overwhelming, intimidating chapter in a, we'll say, mother's life, where you just gave birth, and it's like this wave of just pain from giving birth, the hormonal changes that are happening, ligaments are literally lengthening and things are tightening.
Yes.
So it might be a very intimidating thing to understand that like body pain, it's a common thing to go through.
Yes.
And even like breastfeeding, like that brings its own pain, right? Did you experience, like, because of the position you were in, the sleeping position, were you dealing more than just the thumb? Was it the back, the neck, dealing with headaches?
Oh my goodness, headaches for sure. I have to say during pregnancy, I didn't get as many migraines, thankfully, because my migraines are tied to my hormones. Maybe TMI, but I started menstruating at age 11, and that's actually when my migraine started. So
you believe there's a correlation?
I do believe there is a correlation between the two. I've had MRIs done to figure out whether or not my migraines are tied to like auras or something, and they eliminated that. So I was fine to go back on a certain kind of birth control that I had to, because birth control can affect migraines as well. There's so many things that women deal with that.
They say chocolate is a trigger.
It can be.
You probably eat too much chocolate.
I did not, though. I will say that I'm not a huge chocolate
eater. You don't like
eater.
chocolate, eh?
But stress is a big one for my migraines. Lack of sleep and not taking care of myself. Hunger can trigger a migraine for me. But things even like heat out there, like there's so many things that can trigger my migraines.
You know what's funny? I think we unintentionally did this, but I think this is the perfect transition
Segue.
to a workshop that we have that we're working on. It's kind of
Yes.
like in the soft stages right now, but I think
Yes.
it is confirmed, just not an official day. So what we can do now is kind of very loosely announce that we have a workshop that we're working on
Yeah.
in partnership with a supplement company, which I don't want to announce yet.
No.
But they are a specialty company specializing in magnesium for parents and for kids.
Beautiful.
Right? So that also helps with dealing
Yes.
with like cramps, soreness,
Yes.
muscular recovery,
But
which
also
sometimes deals with
sleep,
headaches.
apparently.
And sleep.
Back in the day when I was seeing a counselor, they recommended vitamin B12 supplements in addition to magnesium
Wow.
to help with my migraines, actually. So it's a combo that I stopped doing, but I think I should start again. Because
After
it's a
this
reminder
workshop.
after this workshop, which I think is the perfect
There you
opportunity
go.
for the reintroduction
Yeah.
into these supplements that should help. I actually
And
have
not
a
enough
very
people know about it, right?
exactly. I have a vitamin D deficiency that I have to get tested for every so often. So there was at one point when I think I was prescribed something like 10,000
Whoa.
mg in one single pill that I had to take once every 2 days or something to get my levels back up. So supplements are very important. And even moms who were pregnant, we had to take prenatal vitamins, right? To get the proper, because there's a low iron deficiency that we can deal with, like anemia and stuff. I know many women that deal with anemia because of their periods. They lose so much on a monthly basis that they need to take these supplements.
Last note, in Chinese medicine, I studied
Yes.
I studied Chinese medicine for a bit. Most females are considered what's called deficient.
Yes.
And a lot of symptoms that come up in women's health, which is a world in itself to understand the female physiology.
Yes.
Is like there's textbooks just on women's health. Usually they characterize most females as deficient because of just losing so much throughout like
Even
your life.
pregnancy, we lose so much. Like,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like that baby in there, they're acting more like a parasite. Like they're just draining everything from you, right?
Rent free.
Yes, rent free,
Yeah.
exactly. So we lose so much. What you said, like when you're pregnant, even on a monthly basis with the menstrual cycles and stuff, there's so much.
So as a last message to kind of wrap up the interview aspect of this,
Yes.
if, and I gotta phrase this correctly, okay?
Okay.
So bear with me.
Yep.
If you could go back in time, you jump into a car, you go back in time, and you can do parenting for the first time again, what would be the one thing that you wish you had done differently? For me, it would be to not give up on like eating healthy. I just accepted the fact that I could eat late at night. In the future, I'll tell you like the lowest point I had eating, like I spent $50 at McDonald's at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was $50 with like a McDonald's coupon book. So I ate like 6 burgers.
Yeah.
I wish I had not let go of my diet,
Yeah.
because I got to a weight that I did not recognize myself,
Wow.
right? So if I could go back in time, jump into a DeLorean, go back in time and do this again, fix my diet.
Parenting. So your diet changed when you had your kids, is what you're saying?
100. Well, because when my son was born,
Yeah.
COVID started. So there was many
Ah.
friction points between me and actually like losing my previous lifestyle and embracing
Yes.
this parents for the first time,
Right.
COVID, and stressing out.
That's a loaded question. What would I
One thing. You can only change one thing. You can redo
about
it once.
myself? Is this bad? And it's not health related, but maybe it is. But my spending, like I
You spent
wish
more
I.
money.
Yes, I wish
Yeah.
I'd planned my mat leave better in terms of like finances. To be fair, I didn't think I was going to extend my mat leave beyond 12 months, and then when I finally did, I hadn't planned for that.
What did you do, like a year and a half?
I did 18 months, yes. But as a result, from September onwards, when Eleanor turned 1, I've been receiving zero,
Yeah, it's tough.
nothing from EI, and it's just been my husband's salary, and it's been hard. Like Christmas Day, our stove just broke. Like it, we had a.
Of course, on Christmas.
Yes, Christmas Day. We had soup
course.
for dinner that night as a
Yeah.
result. But we heard a loud bang. Like our oven had overheated and exploded while I was like preheating it for our roast. And then very next day, we had to head out to buy a stove with money that we technically didn't have.
Yeah.
My husband ended up selling a bunch of his like prized video game possessions, but still,
Yeah.
it's sad. Like, so I wish I had planned my finances better.
There you go. Done.
Yeah.